All Hallows Eve, the one night of the year where children dress up, frolic around, collect candy, and run amok. Amok, 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 amok. Boy, Sarah Jessica Parker, I hope she only had to do one take for that, because that shit hurts. I'm John Renton with the retro review of Hocus Pocus. The nearly 30-year-old movie is getting a sequel that comes out in just a few days, so why not revisit this film that children all over the world loved? And I don't know how parents allowed their children to watch this, because my fucking goodness, listen to some of the lines of dialogue. How did they include that in a children's movie and still get a PG rating? Especially lines from Sarah Jessica Parker. I don't remember this movie being so goddamn dirty-minded. Nevertheless, let me know your thoughts on this film in the comments, please. Did you love it as a kid? Do you still love it as an adult? Are you looking forward to Hocus Pocus 2? Electric, why the fuck did it take 29 years to make this boogaloo? So, anyway, Kenny Ortega directed it. He did various music videos, Newsies, High School Musical 1, 2, and 3, and also the This Is It Michael Jackson documentary. 3 people wrote this. 3 people. I don't know why it took 3 people to write this, but one was Mick Garris, who did Batteries Not Included and The Fly 2. Boy, you want to talk about an unnecessary sequel? There you go. David Kirshner, not Corporal Kirshner, and my fucking goodness, any old-time wrestling fans are dying laughing in the comments. He did An American Tail 1 and 2. They did a third one in 1999. Did you know that? I fucking didn't. And also The Page Master. Are you the Page Keeper? Man, Macaulay Culkin just could not get any meaty roles after Home Alone 1 and 2. Well, at least for a while. And Neil Girthbert. Girthbert! He did Return of Swamp Thing and The Adventures of Pluto Nash. And also Mystery Men. Movie that I hated. Yeah, fight me in the comments. I didn't like Mystery Men. So yeah, Bette Midler is in this. Boy, the way Bette Midler plays. She plays Winnie or Winifred. Then you have Sarah, played by Sarah Jessica Parker. Apparently, they did not trust Sarah to remember anything other than her own name. And again, I'm not too surprised. And also, there is the other one, Mary. Kathy, not Jimmy, who was in Sister Act and has fortunately, been able to have a steady career, even though it took me forever to actually remember what the fuck her name was. Somebody had to tell me that, because I just said Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, and other. And that's unfair, because Kathy's actually been in some pretty good stuff. We have Max. Omri Katz. That just sounds like a territorial wrestling heel. Thora Birch was the little sister Danny. That's right. The girl that would be at the end of the decade in American Beauty. And Ghost World, unfortunately, would never quite get the A-list status you would have thought American Beauty would have launched her to. Seriously, what the fuck happened? I mean, well, then again, she was in Dungeons & Dragons in 2000, so that pretty much finished off anybody's career, even though Jeremy Irons had a castle to pay for, and they paid him well. I retro-reviewed that. Check that out. So, Vanessa Shaw, that is with an I instead of an A, or an E, Vanessa. And also, Sean Murray. Yes, the future McGee from NCIS was in this. Doing a British accent. That certainly was a choice. So yeah, if you haven't seen this movie, well, there's going to be spoilers. It's also a movie about 3 witches played by the titular characters. I promise you, the titular is a word that doesn't make me laugh. I'm not laughing on the inside at titular. How dare you accuse me of that? The British accent by Sean Murray. It was certainly a choice. And the unholy book with the eye in it, doing its best Tetsuya Naito impression long before Tetsuya Naito ever got in a wrestling ring, because I think he might have been maybe 8 years old by this point. And then, basically in the beginning, there was rap, as Dr. Dre once said. The witches kidnap Sean Murray's sister, Thackbury, or I just call him Thackleberry because it's funny. I don't know why, it just fucking is. And he tries to save his sister, but gets turned into a cat. Because why the fuck not? But before that, they capture him, and Bette Midler says, what shall we do with him? Sarah Jessica Parker says, hang him on a hook and let me play with him. This is a kid's movie. Why are we playing with children? You know, now that I think about it, the fact that the guy that directed this also directed the Michael Jackson documentary makes a whole lot more sense. We're off to Never Never Land. Ooh. Yeah, Sarah Jessica Parker wanted to play with a child. I mean, I know that's the character, but still, it's the implication. So, the witches end up getting killed after they turn Sean Murray's character into a cat, as you do. And he has to live forever, forever young. He has to live forever. Meow! And he throws up a hairball. So Bette Midler does curse them and say, a curse on both your houses. No, she says, by the way, a virgin can resurrect us. So yeah, if that happens, you're all screwed. I mean, in not so many words. And the Sanderson sisters, their legend lives on. And then there was a teacher in the beginning that I assume was actually there for the original Salem witch trials because she looked about that old. Bobby Fish was actually one of the original people that hung the witches or whatever. He was about, I don't know, 300 years old by that point. Again, wrestling fans will be dying laughing in the comments. So it's all Swallow's Eve. At least for the adult children. A.k.a. the 20-year-olds that try to pass themselves off as goddamn, teenagers or even children doing trick-or-treating. That's fucking bullshit. Go buy the bags of candy yourself, you idiots. Max doesn't fit in because they moved to Salem. They never explain why the family moved to Salem. He gets picked on by, as I call them, Salem Bulk and Skull. One's named Ice. You know that because he has ice almost tattooed on the back of his head. Actually shaved into the back of his head. And the sister Danny. Oh, hi, Danny. Played by Thora Birch. She is adventurous and happy and chirper and everything. Chirper, cheaper, whatever. She's going to chip something out of the sandbox. There we go. I'll just say that. Out of the sand trap. Nevertheless, Danny basically ends up humiliating Max a few times because after he got picked on by Salem Bulk and Skull, he likes this girl, Vanessa. Well, not Vanessa, actually. It's Allison, but, played by Vanessa Shaw. I'll just call her that. It's a good thing that notes exist because I don't remember characters' names very well, as you can tell. And also, I don't have any affection towards this movie. It's fine. I never saw it as the cult classic everybody else did. It's quotable. It's fun. That is the one thing about the movie. But again, a lot of adult lines. They end up at Allison's party after a lot of trick-or-treating. And then they say, hey, let's go to the Sandersons' house. So they do, and then McGee the cat is still there. He tries to stop them, but a virgin lights the candle, and so the sisters come back. And now they are coming after him. Of course, Max at one point says, oh, please, it's just a bunch of Hocus Pocus. So anyway, a virgin lit the candle. So then they go on the offensive, basically trying to get a bunch of children to do their bidding, create the same potion they created in the beginning of the movie. And if they do that, they will be able to live forever instead of just for the end, till the end of the night. Because they got to be strong, they got to be fast, and they're going to get torched by the light. They need a hero. And honestly, from there, we get a series of situations of them escaping the sisters, doing all this stuff. There's comedy. They don't fit in with modern times very well, which makes me wonder what the fuck they're going to do for the sequel with cell phones and all that shit. And then there's Billy. Oh, Billy, don't be a hero. Again, MST3K fans will be laughing at that. He's in a grave. He had his mouth sewn shut because he didn't want to be with Bette Midler's character anymore. Can't blame him, honestly. And then, I don't know, there are just so many lines in this that just made me wonder what the fuck's going on. Let us start collecting children. Boy, the whole Michael Jackson comparison really does make sense. And why was Sarah Jessica Parker sitting on a bus driver's lap? Why was Sarah Jessica Parker hot in this as a witch? I don't fucking get it. Very weird. But anyway, the witches visit a guy's house. He's dressed up like the devil. They think he's their master. No, just a guy dressed up like the devil. And they get Clark bars, which means this was obviously on the fucking East Coast. Google Clark bars. I never had one, but I heard they're fine. Do Clark bars still exist? Answer some East Coast peeps in the comments, please. So they then have this, they then go to this dance hall party thing that the parents are at and all the other adults are at. And apparently Jack Skellington was playing because this is Halloween. This is Halloween. Boy, there's something I should retro review. Haven't watched that movie in ages. So then Bette Midler sings, I put a spell on you. while her and her sisters are trying to get the kids. Binks the cat, aka, McGee the cat, keeps helping them evade. And they manage to get the witches to the school, put them in the furnace, and they burn them. But not quite, because then they open up the spell book, and that, well, actually, there's something else resurrects them. The fact that it's not the end of the night yet. But then the witches are all worried. The spell book opens. They go to their goddamn house flying on stuff because their brooms are gone. They left their brooms. One rides a broom, one rides a mop, and one rides a vacuum cleaner. Because humorous, I guess. And Binks is staying with them because he's a cat. And he can't be free from his spell yet. So then, finally they get the book. They start collecting the children. They put a spell. They speak to them. They talk to them, they understand, they talk to them. They hear voices in their head. Children start going. They kept implying that Max driving was going to hit a whole bunch of children. Andrea Yates takes off her hat to them. But anyway, anybody that gets that Andrea Yates reference is going to hate me. They have to also elude this Billy the Zombie, who's the ex-Bette Midler. Well, it turns out also he ends up getting his mouth clipped open, and he calls Bette Midler a wench and a whole bunch of other stuff and everything. Been waiting centuries to say that. He decides to help them, and they have to create a barrier of salt around his gravesite with Danny in there, because if Danny gets captured, then she's going to get the life force sucked out of her. But they manage to avoid that because Max says, "Haha, I'm drinking it." And there we go. And then we get the fight in the gravesite, or on the gravesite. And then he's kind of getting the life sucked out of him, because there's a weird, spoopy stuff going on here, after everybody's been running amok. Anyway, never mind about that. He ends up stringing them along just long enough for the two sisters, Sarah and Mary, to be launched towards the sun. And then Bette Midler gets turned to stone. And then explodes, as you do. And then they explode, as you do. Binks got thrown at one point and dies. And part of the reason is because the spell was broken, and now his ghost is there. And he sees the ghost of his sister, and says, "Okay, Danny, I'll always be with you. That's really creepy, you're a 300-year-old ghost." But he's reunited with his sister. And then the parents got out of the party because Bette Midler's spell apparently kept going, and they just danced all night, partied all day. There you go. Hocus Pocus, ladies and gentlemen. That's it. Sequel comes out in a few days. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, please. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Rickland. I'll see you soon.